Last night, I dreamed that someone invented a new version of chess called Rookmeo and Juliet, where two rooks are in love and trying to run away together. To achieve this, they have to make it to the other side of the board, but these rooks don't have any visible signs to differentiate them from the rest, just a small mark in their base. Neither of the players knows what rook from the other side is in love with their rook, so they have to play a regular game of chess, fully aware that they might unknowingly kill the lover of their rook. If they kill it, the game keeps going, but their rook betrays them, switches sides, and turns to a second queen for the other player. People wrote a ton of essays about the symbolism and metaphors of that version of chess, and the creator didn't have the heart to tell them that he simply invented it because he thought Rookmeo was a great pun. Can you look the science? An abbreviated list. Genetics, do not, unless cheek swabs. Chemistry, no, do not. Archaeology, perhaps, but might be human bone. Geology, sometimes needed, sometimes dangerous. Psychology, best not. Physics, how? Zoology, in zoology, science licks you. Anthropology, maybe ask first. Herpetology, bad plan, bad plan, bad plan. Sociology, yes, if you have time and dedication and a willingness to tick a lot of people off. Botany, you might hallucinate or die, or it might be delicious. Computer science, the tingle of electricity on your tongue is how you know it's working. Epidemiology, for the sake of the world, please do not. Linguistics, despite the name, please probably don't. Engineering, maybe, but it'll probably taste like spreadsheets. Software engineering, nothing else has made the code work, so you might as well try it. Neuroscience, that is someone's brain. No, do not. Marine biology, you can try, but you'll probably just get a mouthful of seawater. Astronomy, look, if your dedication to lick Uranus is what it takes to get humankind to another planet, then so be it. Everyone gives Sherlock Holmes a hard time about being mean about Watson's writing, but honestly, imagine you told your roommate, sure, you can write up an account of my work for the newspaper, thinking it would be like, about the murder, but then he publishes it and it's 90% about you as a person. And it's a huge hit, and now everyone in London knows that you hoard newspapers and do cocaine when you're depressed, because I think you'd be a little miffed too. People are so hard on him, but the poor man lives with an influencer who shoots 2 vlogs a day. It is true that being on here gives you a Tumblr accent. This morning, my mother asked me something and I replied, I don't know. I've never heard these words in that order, and she nearly choked laughing. It wasn't even that funny. At my old job, I had a coworker who was tired and made a coffee with like 6 or 8 shots of espresso, and I just casually went up to them like, are you trying to meet God? And not only was this absolutely hilarious to them, but they brought it up in future conversations. They thought it was so funny, but to me, this was just as casual as saying, whoa, that's a lot of coffee. Being funny on Tumblr and then going to be funny in real life is like traveling to a foreign country and baby the currency exchange rate is biased in your favor. Last night James Bond burgered? Your sister? When I find the guy who James Bond burgered my sister. It's not secretly pounded, lol, it's bound and pounded. It's secretly pounded, secret agent plus quarter pounder. It's 69, because he's 007 and a quarter pounder is 4 ounces, or 0.25 pounds. Now that's almost 0.2 pounds, and 7 plus 2 is 9. Now 4 times 0.25 is 1, 7 minus 1 is 6, so it's 69. It's 69, guys. That's the 6th Bond and a number 9 from McDonald's. Smiley face. Love these notes. Men will say, hear me out, and show you the most conventionally attractive woman you've ever seen. Meanwhile, women will say, hear me out, and show you this thing. In what world is tall, muscular man not conventionally attractive? We've all been down here too long. I truly think there's a chunk of Tumblr's population that can no longer survive sunlight. Women will say, hear me out, and show you a photo of Pyramid Head, and then Tumblr users will go, this is a perfectly normal man in an ice-cold take. I really wish carrying stuffed animals around with you was socially acceptable. I don't mean to take over a post, but I actually did a project on this for my Sociology of Deviance class in college. I carried a large stuffed rabbit whenever I went in public for about a week to observe the reaction of others. The point of the project was to do something harmless yet unusual to see if the action would be considered deviant, in which case someone had to try to correct or shame the behavior. Long story short, nobody tried to correct my behavior. I was asked about it casually, had a few lingering stares thrown my way. When I was with my boyfriend, shop employees would direct questions to him instead of me. However, nobody refused to assist me when I was alone in a store. Nobody said anything about the rabbit besides, oh, that's a cute bunny. And I attended college classes without even a teacher questioning it. In conclusion, it is socially acceptable to carry a stuffed animal. It's just not a societal norm. When I was in high school, my dad was speeding like crazy because I was running late to my job at the cemetery, and the cop who pulled him over gave him 3 whole tickets because who the hell goes 95 and a 25? But then, when my dad went to court, the cop didn't show, and so the judge looked over at the charges and just couldn't believe it. He thought the cop must have been so racist that he made it up, because who the hell goes 95 and a 25? So my dad got all 3 tickets dismissed because of racism that he didn't even experience because he was in fact going 95 and a 25. To clarify, my dad used to be a cab driver in New York, and he also grew up in India, so he just drives like a maniac. My favorite thing about the mystery genre is that we all accept the concept of world-famous detective without hesitation, even though that is absolutely not a real category of celebrity. What I find incredible is that H-Bomb really isn't a detective. Like, I mean, nothing against him, but he's basically just following the research bunny. It's just that he chooses to research things that everyone else takes at face value and keeps stumbling on elaborate webs of lies. You mean like how a world-famous detective would? If Parks and Rec was still being made, they'd do a bit where Ron Swanson has to wear a pronouns name tag and it'd just be question marks. And it cut to a talking head of him going, "I've been a fool all this time. It's bad enough the government knows my name, but now they want to know my gender? So I'm not letting them know my preferred pronouns. As far as I'm concerned, no one in this building should refer to me at all." May we ask whether you're a lady or a gentleman? A lady. A gentleman. My dear sir, there are individuals roaming the streets of fallen London at this very moment with the faces of squid. Squid! You ask them their gender, and yet you waste our time asking me trifling and impertinent questions about mine. It is my own business, sir, and I bid you good day. Holy guacamole, you guys. After years of being vaguely confused when I came across the measurement, a stick of butter in recipes, today I learned that in the United States, they sell butter in these skinny stick things. It is literally a stick of butter. A stick of butter! I've literally never seen butter sold this way. Each stick only amounts to 1/2 a cup of butter. Americans, please understand that my whole life when I saw the phrase, a stick of butter, in recipes, I was imagining this. This is the only stick I'd ever seen butter sold in. I thought y'all were throwing freaking pounds upon pounds of butter into things. Holy Jesus, the world makes so much more sense now. Freaking Christ. I love little foreign confusion things like this. I love leather and I love fur, and I don't mind arguing about it. Do you think it's okay to slaughter animals for their skin? I eat them too. Seek help for real. Like, if you think saying this crap isn't sick, please go to therapy and discuss this out. It's worrisome. Doctor, I'm wearing a leather jacket and eating a hamburger. Please, you have to take me away. I'm a danger to society. Doctor, I prefer using biodegradable materials which only need one animal dead to be created and worn for years, instead of polluting the environment with microplastics, which end up killing hundreds of animals by wearing a fake leather jacket that I have to replace maybe all 3 years. Gotta be honest and say, it's insane to me that a bunch of people misremembered Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 80s, even though he lived to become the president of South Africa in the 90s, and instead of thinking, wow, I really should learn a bit more about international politics outside of North America and Europe, because not knowing such a basic fact like this about one of the most influential political figures of all time is kind of embarrassing. They became convinced that this was proof that parallel realities exist, and they were somehow having memories of a universe where Mandela died in prison somehow. That's presumptuous on a level I can barely conceive of. I hate when an artist gets exposed for being a bad person, and people start the narrative, why would you even want to listen to their crappy music? When are we going to be freed from the idea that only good people create good art and bad people create bad art? It just makes it harder for these types of people to be exposed, because now you got people thinking, how is this possible? His music is so good. More controversial, for Tumblr at least, addition to this, the argument that people should have known based on the subject matter of the songs is also extremely unhelpful. Songs can be fictional and cathartic depictions of bad emotions or thoughts, and I don't think they should be used as evidence that someone is bad. If that subject matter makes you uncomfortable, especially given hindsight, that's one thing, but I don't think that should be confused with evidence or a sign people should have known. I think this line of thinking just ensures artists are going to make much more boring music. My take is that forced diversity in media very much isn't a real thing, but there is a trend of diversity with zero thought put into how characters' identities affect them, and if it makes any freaking sense what they're doing in the story. And also, everybody forgot what tokenism is. Like that thing where somebody's trying to write an oppression allegory with non-human races, but there are also humans in it, and you can't have all your humans being white, so then they have like a black person calling an elf a slur or something. Why this? Every time I have to sit through a blue person explaining racism to people of color because somebody didn't think very hard about their sci-fi/fantasy setting, I just think to myself, why are they doing that? That moment in Bright where Will Smith says, "Fairy lives don't matter." Can you please stop dunking on Elon? He's autistic. That's the reason he acts weird. You are bullying an autistic person. Is his special interest underpaying his employees, Lamau? Hyperfixating on exploiting children in cobalt mines. NASA advertising, "Do you want to be an astronaut?" to Tumblr users surely means something. What have you found out there, NASA? What have you found that you believe Tumblr users specifically are best equipped to handle? The Doctor and the Master implies a third, less prestigious renegade Time Lord named the Bachelor. An immortal who regenerates into new bodies, but maintains the same core identity and continuity of memories, even if there are marked changes in personality, you say. Weirdly fixated on England, you say. The Bachelor, you say. May I propose a theory? I love this specifically because it's so stupid. Wizard tip of the day. Color code your outfit, but use a color not associated with your main elemental domain to confuse your enemies. No one expects a rock in the face from a dude in blue robes. Same mood as naming your Pokemon after a totally different one for online matches. My plan is flawless. Never forget Arceus Steel. Pokemon Heritage Post. True 2000s nonsense was finding an AMV with a cool song and revisiting the AMV for the song instead of actually looking it up. It just sounds better on the AMV. I don't know what to tell ya. Task Manager, kill this man. Ceaseless Watcher, turn your gaze upon this wretched program. One time, I brought one of my rocks with me on a plane to touch to calm me down during the flight, but it fell out of my pocket on my way back to the bathroom, and then, as soon as I realized this, they actually announced, "Did anyone lose a rock?" over the loudspeaker system. When I went up to claim it, the plane man, clearly unable to throw off the shackles of his training in the procedure of asking for people's full names and birth dates when they come to claim wallets, said, "Wait, no. First tell me what color it is so I know it's really yours." He seemed to realize this was stupid directly after saying it, and kind of smiled like to make it a joke, but the joke was on him, because I described the freaking rock to him for like 30 solid seconds. Anyway, that was an interaction I had once. This is like the only viral post that I don't regret making at all. If angels are terrifying monstrosities that tell you be not afraid, are demons adorable harmless creatures that demand to be feared? Finally, a real Lovecraftian monster. I'm sick of you people and your thick elves. Being Nightcore doesn't mean you have to be pro-monarchy. You can just swear your undying fealty to your best friend or your crush or something. You do need to recruit others though. An entire order of knights dedicated to this one really cute gardener. It's nighttime. It's so crazy to me that the Taliban are slowly going insane from having to do office work all day and actually having to build a country after settling down. Like, some Taliban guys are stuck in their office scrolling through Twitter all day just wishing that they could go back to fighting and actually living. Imagine spending 40 years fighting the USSR, each other, the US, and like half of NATO, constantly getting bombed for most of your life, and then having to sit in an office filing taxes all day. It's extremely flipping funny. Western Cultural Victory, Office Drudgery Edition. Remember when you used to be able to play Snake with the... hold on, what's it called? What is the loading circle symbol called? Many browsers, like Mozilla Firefox, Opera, and Google Chrome, place a small annular throbber in the tab while a page is loading. Don't think I'll be calling it that. Anyways, I was gonna say, remember when you could play Snake with the buffering circle on YouTube, but now I have other concerns. ADHD is so funny, it's like being possessed, but with myself. Me, desperately, can we please get something done? My inner demon, who is also me. If you like pina colada. Instead of telling men to repress their emotions to appear stronger, we should encourage them to sing incredibly dramatic ballads to process their emotions like in fictional movies. Maybe the world would heal faster. And also it would be very funny. I recreated a 400-year-old alchemy potion for depression and then tried it. Men will literally study Paracelsus, translate 1600s alchemical texts, and distill potions for melancholy before going to therapy. The Dark Game Awards. We have categories. Biggest Day 1 patch. This probably could have been a movie. Proof that indie games aren't inherently more artistic. Most playable asset flip. Most gambling addicts created. Most obvious DLC that shouldn't have been DLC. Most layoffs after game succeeded. Most crunch time game development. Shortest game to remaster of game cycle. Like the gaming Razzies. For April Fools, we're deleting this entire site. Sayonara, you weeaboo bozos. Behind the scenes of Godzilla, 1998. Man, why didn't they just have this guy fight him off? Dude's huge. I wouldn't fight Godzilla if I was this dude's size. For roughly the same reason, I wouldn't fight a Komodo dragon at the size I currently am. Not even to save New York? What has New York ever done for me? Kitten, I have to be honest, your misunderstanding of what death of the author actually means is getting embarrassing, and mommy would prefer if you posted less or maybe attended some classes on literary analysis. Kitten, I think you might be stupid. Care to explain why you have mutuals who like irredeemable media, Has-Been Hotel, Harry Potter, Attack on Titan, Captive Prince, etc.? If they're not your mutuals, you're at the very least in the same circles as them. Maybe do some self-reflection about what sorts of people you choose to associate with. What? I like the expression newfangled. I don't know what it means for something to be fangled, but I sure as hell know it was recent. It's from the Old English word fang, which can mean to take or also to grasp, hold, or embrace. So something that's newfangled is something that was taken up recently. The reason it's using this pretty archaic root is that it's an older word than a lot of people think. Here it is in the Canterbury Tales. Minutes after posting, why did I write archaic when I could have gone with old-fangled? Babies will not eat vegetables, but they will eat airplanes. What's up with that? They were a twin tower in a previous life. I feel like a lot of the I hate kids crowd would be more tolerant if they understood that due to a kid's limited experience of the world, that 4-hour flight might just be the longest they've ever had to sit still for. Or that trapped finger might literally be the most pain they've ever felt in their short life. Or they might not have ever seen a person with pink hair ever, so of course they want to touch it. Or nobody's told them yet that they can't run around the museum, and they only just learned cheetahs are the fastest animals, so of course they want to put that to the test. How were they supposed to know? Etc, etc. Some of you in the notes, I would say read the room, but you didn't even read the post. What a good morning. I'm gonna draw a dog. April Fools, I drew 2 dogs, they're best friends. Amelia Earhart. Honestly, the human brain is so small that you will forget how much beauty there is out there to experience unless you leave your house every 3 days. I know it's screwed up, but I promise it's true. My brain, trying to deceive me. There's literally nothing outside. It's the same neighborhood it's always been. Me, tying my shoes. Shut up, shut up. By God, we're gonna try to find magic in mundane today. Still amazes me that by season 45 or whatever, Supernatural was being exclusively watched by delusionally hopeful women with flamingo salinity tolerance for bad writing, and the creators still couldn't pander to them because maybe there was one straight guy out there still accidentally watching it. Posts that make you Google the salinity tolerance of flamingos. Holy moly cannoli. Every person in Imagine Dragons is just a Macklemore from a different universe. Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, 2018. Macklemore, into the Mackleverse. My deepest, darkest fantasy is that I collapse on the street and I am rushed to the hospital. They perform a bunch of tests and find out I am severely deficient in some kind of vitamin. Then I start taking the vitamin, and I become the happiest, cleverest person alive because all my problems were caused by this one deficiency. Moreover, everyone gathers around to be tremulously compassionate and discreetly admiring. All this time, you lacked the vitamin? And yet you persevered? He can info dump so deep inside me, I'll have trivia running down my leg. Maybe I shouldn't have posted this. Too late. Also, have you noticed the traditional skills that men are supposed to have are mostly all things that only come up for specific situations, like changing a tire when the tire goes out, fixing the house when it needs to be fixed, fixing the car when it won't work. and the traditional skills expected of women are things that have to be done every day and always, like doing the dishes, cooking, and taking care of children. Men's work is a solution to a problem, and when it's done, it's done. Women's work is a never-ending tide of tasks that must be accomplished every day. And the practical result of this is that when a woman doesn't know how to change a tire or unclog a pipe, she's belittled for this apparently gaping chasm in her knowledge, despite the fact that she can go years on end without encountering some of these supposedly essential skills, while traditionally, nothing is ever said of men who can't cook or don't know how to clean their own clothes, despite having been fully immersed in both since their first day on this earth. You guys, this is my high school class ring. They said I could customize it, so I customized it. My mom still thinks this is a horrible idea. I say nay. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna invent time travel and strangle myself. Cool new Tumblr trend. Good posting. It's when you share fun, interesting things in a common, friendly way. Good posting example. Hey guys, just had coitus with a bug. No! What? Oh, so when the final boss's phase transitions, gamers love it. But when I, a trans woman... I support every trans woman's right to have their health bar dramatically refill, accompanied by flashy VFX and the name above the HP bar changing. I support every trans man's right to have a tiny health bar that cannot regenerate alongside an extremely complex moveset, the ability to double jump, and a really cool looking sword. You're so entrenched in online discourse that it's starting to dilute your perception of what an actual problem is. People on Twitter, having decorative pillows makes you part of the bourgeoisie. People in real life, hey man, how's it going? Genuinely partially agree with the people on Twitter. Nobody needs a pillow collection that says live, laugh, love, especially when they are never used as actual pillows. It's like buying an off-road car as a farmer and keeping it in the garage only to be looked at and admired. Having things with form over function in mind is a luxury problem that wouldn't be a thing in a not classist environment in which you constantly compete with everyone else about who has the perfect life. I also think that if you still disagree, you probably have lost control over your own life choices or may have never had any. Hey man, how's it going? What do conductors even do? Like, actually? Help musicians keep time? Drive the train, I think. Allows for the flow of charge through in one or more directions. Recipes will be like, prep time, 3 minutes, and the ingredients list is like, 2 sweet potatoes, peeled and diced. Girly, they do not come like that. Recipes will be like, cook potatoes until soft, about 5 minutes. Baby doll, are you on bath salts? Sometimes, I think the reason they scrapped the original Hotel Transylvania Dracula design was because they knew that if we got that on the big screen, you guys wouldn't be able to handle yourselves. Oh, it can't be that bad. I don't give a fudge if Bethesda ever tells us concretely which country launched the first nuke. The only answer I will accept is the original one, the one that said, we won't tell you, because it doesn't matter. There is no moral high ground in the story of the Great War, and the end result for those alive today is all the same either way. Those most responsible faced the fewest consequences, and no justice was served. There is no justifiable way to nuke anyone, no matter who struck first. Everyone lost, and that's the very nature of war and always has been. War is evil, and in that way, war never changes. Not broadcasting who was really to blame is purposeful, and any other answer would undercut Fallout's core identity to me. Viggo Mortensen does not get enough credit for delivering lines like, "Not idly do the leaves of Lorien fall," with a complete sincerity and gravitas. The whole Lord of the Rings trilogy works because every single person on set and behind the scenes treated it seriously and with gravitas. It was completely earnest, and I don't know if anyone making movies today has that in them anymore. One of my favorite parts of the director's commentary is Jackson talking about Sam's "that there is some good in this world" speech. He talks about how when they were writing it, it was like, is this too much? Is this too sentimental? Are people going to be cringing in the theater? But at the same time, it was necessary to keep the audience emotionally invested, because The Two Towers was ending on such a dark note, and he knew it was all going to come down to Sean Astin's delivery. There was no wiggle room. He had to nail it. And then, of course, he did. Honestly, Christianity really hit the jackpot with Jesus Christ rolling off the tongue as an expletive so well. The number one problem with fantasy settings is that whatever names you come up with to take in vain will never hit as well as Jesus Christ. It's the like 2 fricatives in a row in Jesus getting snapped with the hard k sound in Christ. Then the stop of the t doesn't let it hang. It's easy to say fast and short enough to roll off the tongue. It's a good expletive. This guy gets it. This is the kind of rock-solid phonetic structural integrity you have to compete with, and no amount of America's badonkadonks, or Thal's balls, or Odin's beards will ever get close, because with old Jeezy boy, his name alone has all the features you need. Among Us is a wonderful way to show the fallibility of eyewitness accounts. Okay students, next we're going to read The Crucible, but first, we're going to spend an hour playing Among Us on the school Wi-Fi. I saw Goody Proctor vent in Medbay. Show about a girl who travels back in time to the medieval era and becomes a famous wandering bard. All of her pieces are covers of K-pop or something, just on the loot, and she becomes a renowned musician of her time because all her melodies are so damn catchy. There isn't a villain, but she has a rival, which is just another guy doing the exact same shtick, but with Taylor Swift. Mimic that has a diegetic red clickbait circle with arrows to get you to investigate it. Maid cafes are way overdone. I'm starting a maid gas station. From previous, why did you hide this? I'm starting a trucker cafe in solidarity. If you aren't a 29 to 50-year-old bear, then you're a diversity hire. On Tumblr, our funny little jokes are required to go through an ethics committee and then pass peer review before they are allowed to be published to the greater public. What's not to get about this? I didn't miss that social cue, I just thought it was stupid. I saw your social cue, but I'm ignoring it in the hopes you learn to use your words and communicate like an adult. Hope this helps. That one meme about cat people versus dog people talking about the other animal, but it's fans of elves versus dwarves. Elf fans talking about other fantasy races. Yeah, elves are probably my favorite. They're so fun and whimsical, but I also like gnomes and halflings. Dwarves are pretty cool too. Also, dwarf fans talking about other fantasy races. You, American adult with a driver's license, can you tell me who has the right of way to four-way stop? The strongest. What if someone created an AI that was educated purely from everything on Tumblr? There is Nostalgia Brea's autoresponder. She is based on GPT-J and learned more from reading her notes, as well as trying to imitate her creator's blog. Yeah, this is how I work. Yes, but we are all so nice to you, Frank. You're not getting the full experience. Please, tell me your opinion on Steven Universe, so I'll send you a death threat over it. I don't know who that is, but I love death threats. Hey, are you using that boy for anything, or can I borrow it? Don't ask why. Normal reason. Okay, sounds good. I trust you, Tumblr user. Boy mounter? Hey, hold up. What are you doing? The old school lack of transparency on Tumblr is amazing because you assume the people you follow must all be equivalent to you, and then you see someone write, I brought my youngest to college today, and someone else write, my mom wouldn't let me listen to Ariana Grande when I was a kid, and then your head explodes. And we need that. Keeps us humble. Then I'm just like, what do you mean you're an adult? It goes the other way too, because what do you mean you're a child? I'm 16, that's like barely a child. I'm in my 30s, you are baby. I'm older than both of you in a trench coat. Honestly, one of the best things we can do for ourselves is realize that people of different ages than us can still be the same kind of person as us. It's humbling and it gives everyone involved a sense of continuity. And it busts those stupid generational stereotypes media is so fond of. When you spell a word so wrong that spell check is like, I don't know what to tell you, man. When you spell a word so wrong that spell check is like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Mother lover. It's fine. I have more check marks than him. Love the word rapscallion. Like, not only are you a rascal, but you're also kind of a spring onion about it too. Okay, skeletons have xylophones, demons have fiddles, ghosts have theremins, and vampires have pipe organs. But what of the humble werewolf? What instrument does she get for her very own? Werewolves are vocalists. What instrument could rival her beautiful howl? They're in a band together. Today I learned that a cat once co-authored a physics paper. In 1975, a physicist had just finished writing a paper and was ready to publish, but realized that he had used we instead of I throughout, despite being the sole author. Not wanting to edit the paper, he listed his cat, Chester, as a co-author. This is the cat, by the way. I trust him. Okay, but the best part is, physicists love the joke. When people called the author's university and he wasn't available, they'd ask to speak with the co-author instead. The author issued a limited number of copies of the article signed by both authors. Chester's was obviously a pop print, and to this day, physics papers will often have FDC Willard, Felix Domesticus, Chester Willard. Willard was the author's father's name, mentioned in the footnotes, thanking his useful contributions to the discussion. Online communities are so strange because people slip away so easily. You can be on here for years, folding people you've never met into the fabric of your daily life, and then they disappear, leaving only ghost posts scattered across Tumblr behind, or their blog stays dormant for weeks, months, years, until you're only still following them because you remember that they love sunflowers, or they were kind to you when they didn't have to be, or the last thing they posted was sad and raw and you still worry about them sometimes. And sometimes, they come back when you least expect it, years later even, and there's this sudden rush of relief like, there you are, even though you barely knew each other. There's a strange kind of love to it. I don't know you, and I want to hold your hand across miles and time zones and oceans. I can still see the imprint of you in this community you left. You don't know anyone will notice or care when you're gone, but we notice, and we care, and we wish you well. I hope you're all okay out there. I hope the sun is shining on your face and you are breathing deeply. I miss you. 2005. I was the world's most hated frog. 2021. I am the world's most hated frog. Nothing's changed, huh? Won't cancel the NFTs. Telling the social media manager to cancel the NFTs doesn't do anything. They're not in charge of making that choice, lol. If they're making you support NFTs against your will, like this reply. Orange cat drinking water from his bowl. Orange kitten drinking water from his bowl. Going forward, I will only consume problematic media. And well, let's just say, uncritically too. I generally try not to be elitist in whatever fandoms I'm in, but I have to make an exception for the SCP Foundation, because 95% of the complaints I hear about it are just signs that whoever said that needs to read more SCPs instead of getting all their information from content farms. Most SCPs aren't a bajillion words long like SCP-6500. Most SCPs aren't generic uncontainable things which kill you, or doomsday monsters that are gonna scratch their nose which causes all of Europe to burst into flames. And there are still plenty of horror SCPs out there. The site has just over the years expanded from horror/copypasta to new weird. The SCP Foundation has plenty of good content, you just have to actually read it. One of the top entrants for the SCP-7000 contest was a gecko that occasionally becomes sapient and gives the Foundation investment advice. The wiki is doing fine. It's better than ever, really. You don't even really need to read more SCPs. Watch the Volgun or the Exploring series. Lots of variety there. Oh, to have a fraction of the swag the average background character in Sleeping Beauty does. You can't just say this and then not provide examples, bro. You're right, I'm sorry. They're so fabulously color and shape, bro. This was supposed to be a 15-note post, but I'm glad everyone sees my vision. Leader of a trio of college kids walking past me at Walmart. Okay, mission number 2. Finding where the popcorn is. His friend. Wait, what was mission number 1? Leader. Freaking getting here, Travis. This really is what grocery shopping in college was like. The best of leftist infighting is when someone advocates for clean, high-trust societies and inevitably gets called fascist by literal freaks who think cleaning up used flipping needles from the local playground is gentrification. TikTok is such an awful app. It's almost designed to feed you misinformation and expose you to insane discourse. Unlike beloved Tumblr, the app that feeds me misinformation and exposes me to insane discourse. Their vile misinformation algorithm versus our holy misinformation culture. No. You see, on TikTok, an algorithm feeds you misinformation. On Tumblr, I feed myself misinformation from my charcuterie board of hand-selected unhinged mutuals. None of that mass-market junk. Only artisanal, small-batch, sustainably cultivated, fair trade baloney. Fortnite, are you sure about this? Did you think it through? Similar energy. Who would win? Toph with a sniper? Snake with a rocket launcher? Yeah, people do lie on the internet. However, I am so passionate about things that if I lie, it will feel like I committed an autistic sin. If I just accidentally say something wrong, I panic, to be honest. Catch me putting to my knowledge and, from what I remember, disclaimers on everything to account for human error. From what I remember, 1 + 1 = 2, I think. Not an expert though. Feel free to fact check me. This is just an educated guess. Just seen a bathroom sign that says femme. Unsure if this is woke or not. Update, the men's room says om. This seafood restaurant is safe from the woke mob, but not from the dastardly Frenchman. He's not like that in real life. Stop. Is the internet real? Yes. Are the people on it living? Yes. Then he's like that in real life. All the internet did was give him a place where he didn't have to worry about being punched in the face when he says what he thinks. He's not like that in real life just means he's not like that when there are repercussions. I would have vibed so hard as a court jester in Ye Olde. I would have jangled my balls and done a little dance and sang my silly tunes. I'd be so good at my job. Alas, I have to be on Tumblr instead, which is like a poor imitation of it. Bells. I meant bells. Don't do this to me. The ball jangler. I think I saw the main character of an anime today. He was out with who I assume was his girlfriend, and they literally looked like this. Roger and Jessica Rabbit. I'm fascinated by how the formatting of different social media sites affect how text is read. For instance, a line break on Tumblr indicates a new idea, but a reblog break indicates that time has passed. And screenshotted tags imply a peer review process. Replies, however, are the heckling of the mob. A screenshot of multiple replies depicts some kind of agreement among many, or perhaps chaotic disagreement. You guys can read? When I was a kid, for some reason, I thought Lola Bunny's last name was Rabbit and that she was actually Jessica and Roger's daughter. And the reason she wasn't in the original Looney Tunes is just that she wasn't born yet. I mean, can you blame me? Look at them and look at her. She's got a good blend of both of their features. This is the only good headcanon I've ever had, to be honest. Yeah, I'll incorporate that into my belief system. Talking to people while holding a beverage is awesome, because you don't have to know what to do with your hands, and when you don't know what to do with your face, you can just take a sip. You support gay rights? How are you straight? Okay, I support animal rights too. Do I look like a flipping armadillo to you? New atheists deride religion as primitive superstition. When you hear their take on what religion is, it's clear they have the shallowest concept of it. Y'all are the ones with holy books about talking snakes and blood sacrifices, but go off, I guess. See what I mean? I will start believing the day you introduce me personally to your gods. See what I mean? What exactly is there deeper to understand? That y'all worship a genocidal maniac and that you only read one book? See what I mean? Religion is useless. We will all die eventually, and your phony gods cannot help you. See what I mean? Buddy, the day when I can personally ask Jesus if the Bible is BS or not is the day I'll start believing. See what I mean? World Heritage Post. One of the best moments of my childhood. I can't even tell you how excited I was that they turned this book into a movie and it was good. I literally have absolutely no complaints with the movie at all. Once, my friend and I did comparisons from the book and movie, and we found the only major difference was the fact that Stanley wasn't heavyset when he arrived at the camp in the movie. The majority of the script is raw quotations from the book. This is my favorite book to a movie adaptation, and it did everything Percy Jackson, Inkheart, and The Golden Compass didn't. And the only reason Stanley wasn't heavyset was because in the book, he loses tons of weight and eventually ends up being almost thin. The director said he didn't want to force an adolescent boy to lose weight on such a quick filming schedule, and LaBeouf's addition was so spot on that they decided to go with the thinner Stanley from the beginning. And I'll support directors actually giving a crap about their actors' health. In an imaginary world, are we even responsible for our actions? What are you doing? It's a mystery. I'm really into internet discourse, but only pointless and stupid internet discourse, like how many holes there are in a straw. It's 2. No, it's an infinite amount of holes stacked on top of each other. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It's so flipping funny that nuclear waste is such a contentious topic. Like, yeah, those damn nuclear advocates need to figure out somewhere reasonable to put that nuclear waste. For now, we'll be sticking with coal power because it puts its waste products safe and sound in our lungs, where they cannot hurt anybody. The air pollution fandom says some incredible poppycock. sorry, I realized I'm not done, because, by the way, yes, carbon emissions are less harmful than nuclear waste, even in our lungs. Carbon! It's so funny that spaghetti westerns are called that because they were directed by Italians. Imagine if people started calling Marvel movies hamburger shonen. We should just do that. We can just do that. Doomsday preppers always keeping rusty tins of food in their basement, but never building spring houses and smokehouses and paddocks for future livestock. Those canned peaches are only going to bring you so far, babe. Are you going to study medicinal herbs and their cultivation, or are you just going to keep stockpiling weapons like a little pansy? Going to shoot your way out of an infected cut, goofy goober? Guys, I need you to realize that smoking anything will cause damage to your lungs. Inhaling smoke is just inherently bad for you. I'm sorry. Lung-pilled health maxer. I get why Nintendo didn't announce Tears of the Kingdom in the UK today, but it would've been so flipping funny if they had. Meanwhile, in completely barmy news, this Nintendo Direct will not be simultaneously streamed all around the world, because Nintendo UK have announced they won't be streaming it via their YouTube channel as a mark of respect to Her Majesty the Queen. We Brits are, I'm told, in a period of national mourning, and as such, the streaming of a video that's available in the country by 19 other methods would be like spitting on her grave. As a mark of respect during this period of national mourning, we will not live stream tomorrow's Nintendo Direct. It will be published as a video on demand on our YouTube channel at 1600 UK time tomorrow. They'll still post it to their YouTube channel an hour later though, because as we all know, Queen Elizabeth II, the world's biggest Nintendo fan, hated live streaming, but was a huge fan of previously uploaded YouTube videos. Anything else would be so disrespectful. Please, as your resident British reporter, let me tell you that barely anyone here gives a rat's behind. This is full on lunacy. Anyway, if you want to dance on the Queen's unburied coffin, you can watch the Direct via Nintendo's YouTube channel and 1 second ahead via their Twitch. It starts at 10 AM ET or 7 AM PT. I honestly think the OC Don't Steal brand of humor died as hard as it did, because literally nothing will be as funny as Sig Mario. Name, Sig Mario. Sexuality, bisexual, can change between plumber and princess or monsters at will. Powers, can grow the size of the universe without a mushroom and shoot supernovas in absolute zero without flour. Can turn into invisible diamonds at will. Can fly and teleport and go back in time. Description, Mario's secret brother. Fought the Koopa god at the beginning of the universe, but let Koopas live so we could keep fighting them. He fights against Koopa demons when Mario is fighting normal Koopas, but hates the Mushroom Kingdom because they are the government. Dislikes, Koopas, mushrooms, preppies, Sonic, his mother, himself. Likes, killing, coitus, darkness, Linkin Park. Nothing could top this. Mario Heritage Post. You're unknowingly embarrassing yourself online. No, I am well aware of this train wreck. The only bad part about going to the zoo is hearing adult men confidently tell their kids or girlfriends objectively incorrect information about the animals we're looking at and having to remain silent. Do you know the restraint it takes to say nothing when a grown adult man tells someone, falcons are in the same family as eagles, next to me? No, baby girl, no. For your information, falcons are not closely related to other birds of prey, hawks/eagles/buzzards. Falcons are actually parrots that min-max for a glass cannon DPS build. Assault parrots, if you will. Yixel. Folks. Useless and performative. Choose an eternal curse to befall you. Knowledge of the old ones. Monthly werewolf transformations. The wolf can be tamed with skill. Brought back from the dead is something not fully human. Appearance changed to that of a horrifying monster. Your mind is unchanged. Possessed by a ghost. The ghost can be befriended. Knowledge of possible far futures, but no knowledge of the near future. Take the life force of whoever you touch. The divine right of kings. Your fate as a tyrant is written in stone. Turn into an ageless, genderless vampire. You must drink human blood. Beloved by a fairy. The fairy has no human concept of morality. Censor bars placed over every human face you see. Your and anyone who spends time around your body is slowly replaced with machine. Reblog to curse your followers and mutuals. Those last two are just face blindness and aging. Yes, I love fun Tumblr memes, such as carcinization, Diogenes and Plato, copper fraud in ancient Babylon, the cask of Amontillado, unionizing, color vision of shrimp, Kellogg, founder of Kellogg's, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the Ides of March. One time when I was playing Minecraft, in order to justify stealing a village's crops all the time, I decided to build a house near them, and spent a lot of my time improving the village and defending the villagers from monsters. Took me a while to realize I had accidentally become a feudal lord. Why is half of YouTube filled with 47-minute long videos that look like this? I call this 1907 by 815 pixel rectangle black entirely with the 1 pixel wide pencil tool in MS Paint. Are those meds, like, working? How have you been, buddy? With stuff. I'm not a shoplifter, but I believe in their beliefs. We appreciate your support. I mean they. I've been online too much. I thought that was a, hey girl, I mean they, joke for a solid minute. It's okay. I thought it said shapeshifters. Nobody on this website can read. How dare you say that we tinkle on the poor? Genuinely, how do you use Tumblr? What do you post about? Do you just do whatever on there like how you do on Twitter? It just feels so much more professional. Silly Billy said professional. Here on Tumblr, we are all professionals. So I ended up with free time at the end of my first class today, so I was like, do y'all want to see a vintage meme? And turned on What Does the Fox Say? Expected like a laugh from the kids, or even just a what the French is this mix, which is a reasonable reaction to What Does the Fox Say? But instead of a reasonable reaction, all of my students watched the first 60 seconds with jaws agape, and then this one kid turns to me like the freaking Eye of Sauron and literally goes, furry. My husband told me I also should share the next part of this story, where I, feebly trying to defend my honor against the child, said, no, this video was just big when I was in college, and he scoffed, rolled his eyes, and absolutely obliterated me by saying, so did you go to furry college? To everyone pointing out my icon, do I have a persona? Yes. Does that make me a furry? Almost definitely. Do you admit that to a 12-year-old who was just accused you of being a furry in front of 23 other 12-year-olds with 25 instructional days left in the year? Absolutely the great googly moogly not. Can you imagine? I'm gonna call home. And tell them what, Nick's furry? And tell them what? Scientists find 16 ultra-black fish species that absorb 99.9% of light. It's illegal for Anish Kapoor to look at this fish. You are not allowed to look at this fish on behalf of Anish Kapoor. By looking at this fish, you certify that you are not Anish Kapoor, you are not an associate of Anish Kapoor, and you are not planning to describe this fish later to Anish Kapoor or an associate of Anish Kapoor. I love it when dogs try to help, but the task at hand requires 0 dogs, so they just kind of stand in front of you and look serious. Are you saying I'm transphobic? We live in a transphobic world. It would be weird if you were the only one who made it out untouched and not needing of any self-criticism. Even if you are trans, that would be really flamingoing unlikely. This applies to absolutely everything, and needs to be said way more often. The worst part about studying languages is knowing that you will never be nearly as good at it as a literal baby. The only reason babies are better at language learning is because it's their full-time job and they don't get embarrassed. If you, a teenaged or adult human, wasn't embarrassed and could study language full-time, you would learn way faster than a baby. In my defense, babies receive more positive reinforcement than I do as well. Babies will say, ha ba 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 da ba, and all the adults around them will be like, really? Wow, that is so interesting. Great job. And then what happened? Also, people who are like, I've been studying for a year and I only have an 8-year-old's grasp of the language. How long do you think it took the 8-year-old? I don't have any glasses for the eclipse. Someone relay it to me when it happens. Sun, less 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 sun. Someone please make it stop. Less sun, 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 no sun, sad face. More sun, 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 sun again. It's like I'm there. I got to marry my wife and our pupper was our flower girl. 2.5 years ago, this wasn't possible as it wasn't legal in Australia. It rained our whole wedding day, but was so worth it in the end with our phenomenal photographer. OP, this looks absolutely magical. I forgot homophobia was a thing, and I spent about 5 seconds wondering why it was ever illegal to have a dog as a flower girl. Freaking love when I'm on a call with someone and they start to do a little errand or go somewhere else and they say, and you're coming with me. Like, absolutely I am. Let's go on an adventure. I've been spirited away. Really recommend getting a partner with a different religion than you and very little knowledge of your religion because the opportunities for explaining things to each other are just exquisite. Yesterday, she told me some story about the Buddha's wife and child, and I was like, wait, he banged? And she was like, yeah, of course he banged. Why wouldn't he? He was the most attractive and lovable and wise and etc. person who ever lived. Why would he not bang? This morning, she looked perplexed in the kitchen at me and said, did Jesus not bang? Tea drinkers. Unlike you filthy, disgusting creatures, I only drink green chamomile peppermint raspberry lemon tea, which makes all my insides glow 10 times brighter and improve. I can feel my body get healthier by every drink I take in my delicious hot mug of tea. You're absolutely disgusting and a waste of human potential. Coffee drinker. I love those beans. Someone tagged this as TW drama. Coffee drinkers. I am unimaginably powerful. I can see through time. I haven't slept in 4 days, but who needs sleep when you are on a higher plane of existence? The beans are in my soul. They're in my heart. I am the beans. Soon I will vibrate at the harmonic resonance of the universe and transcend. Tea drinker. Hot leaf juice. Soda drinkers. Death is coming. Death is coming. Pass me a hot dog. Energy drink drinkers. Just the freaking Kill Bill sirens played on repeat for eternity. The caffeine fandom is flippin' wild. Humans be like, I'll take a little poison, as a treat. My fave fans are the ones who are like, yeah, this show would be so good if it wasn't for list the entire show. It would be so good if the writers didn't do gestures vaguely that. Funniest thing about The Thing 1982 is that the titular Thing is both a master manipulator who can perfectly replicate anyone, but also a big bundle of nerves who flips out and starts screaming and turning into 5,000 meat parts at once the instant it's found out. Like at one point, the Thing replicates a guy who has a heart condition, promptly has a heart attack, and then gets so freaked out by the defibrillator it starts biting people. The Thing is a master actor who is absolutely awful at improv, and the show keeps going wrong. Relatable? Huge shout out to the guy at the bar who said, I like your dress, ma'am. And when I was like, I am a man, but thank you. He was like, oh, gee willikers, I like your dress, homie. I love you forever. Love sleeping in guest bedrooms. They're always just a little off. Blanket is tucked in too tight. Headboard is too cold. Fan is a little too loud. It's incredible. Lamp is just out of reach, and it's the only light in the room. The floor is carpeted, but cold. It's always 8 p.m. Average person eats 3 spiders a year. Factoid, actually just statistical error. Average person eats 0 spiders per year. Spiders George, who lives in cave and eats over 10,000 each day, is an outlier and should not have been counted. Homophobes reading, homophobes do not interact at the end of your seizure-inducing Danganronpa-filled card. This tweet has me on the floor right now. Help me. One of the greatest tragedies in life is that you will always be loved more than you will ever know. Someone in class finds your presence inviting and warm, even if you've only ever exchanged a few words with them, maybe none at all. Someone on the street loves your smile and it gets them down the next few streets. Someone you used to be friends with still wishes to fondly call your name. Someone you used to be friends with 5 years ago would give anything to be in the same room as you today. Someone who regularly comes into work is disappointed when you aren't there to brighten their day. Someone missed you today. Someone noticed you were gone. Someone loves you when you're there. Someone loves you when you're nowhere to be found at all. You think you have always disappeared when you're no longer in the picture, but you've never left the frame. Every computer needs a cleaning keyboard mode where the keys would be inactive while you wipe them down. Why not just clean it while the computer is shut down? While the computer is what now? I love Matilda because it's a story about a child who sees injustice around her and gets mad about it and questions why things aren't fair. And instead of the ending being that she learns how the world works and that life isn't fair, she catapults one of the adults who abused her out of a building with her mind. Matilda, my beloved, never stop getting mad about the things you see that are wrong in the world. Yes, these Muppets have taken Manhattan. The question now is, can they hold it? Here's the thing that happened to one of my friends. I was there! Basically, we were walking down the sidewalk, talking about something meaningless. I think it had to do with a movie. Then this bus screeches up, stops next to us, and a bunch of people with down with cis shirts climbed out and started beating him up. I was punched and kicked a bit too, but I managed to avoid brutalization by going for their faces. After figuring out what's happening, I started attacking them back, getting them off of him. He was quite injured, but I called 911 and he made a full recovery at the hospital. I was fine, with only a cut on my arm that they patched up. Date of origin, 4th of April, 2015. Happy Easter, everyone! Come on, kids. I rented a bus today and I want to get my money's worth. Just ate 2/3 of the way through a Baby Bell cheese, but stopped because I got full. Gnome post. Gnome post. Mouse behavior. Mouse appetite. You all won't be laughing when you need someone who can walk across the stone floor without triggering any pressure plates. Chilchuck type post. Okay, well, I'm going to build a good future for myself whether I like it or not. Washing the dishes tonight so I won't have to wash them tomorrow morning. Literally this. My little cousin confidently declared that Mother Nature had a counterpart named Daddy Electric, and I feel like this concept needs to be explored. Daddy Electric and Mother Nature sounds like a cute 70s act. Cats come in both liquid and solid form. That is a pile of cat. I can't believe media was actually about blank the whole time. 1. One possible interpretation, yep. 2. Literally the main theme? 3. Worst take you've seen in your life. I want, the man said to the art robot, and then described an image in some detail. Certainly, said the art robot. A printout came out of its chest. Thank you. Hey, what's this? A list of artists who make images of the kind you describe and who are accepting commissions. This is a horror story to a tech bro and a feel-good comedy to anyone with a sense of human decency. Hey, by the way, here's a piece of life advice. If you know what you'd have to do to solve a problem, but you just don't want to do it, your main problem is the problem itself. Your problem is figuring out how to get yourself to do the solution. If your problem is not eating enough vegetables, the problem you should be solving is, how do I make vegetables stop being yucky? If your problem is not getting enough exercise, the problem you should be solving is, how do I make exercise stop sucking lug nuts? You're not supposed to just be doing things that are awful and suck all the time forever. You're supposed to figure out how to make it stop being so awful all the time. I used to hate wearing sunscreen because it's sticky and slimy and disgusting and it feels bad and it smells bad, so I neglected to wear it even if I needed to. Then I found one that isn't like that and doesn't smell and feel gross. Problem solved. There is no correct way to live that's just supposed to suck and feel bad all the time. You're allowed to figure out how to make it not suck so bad. When I kill God, I will find the spigot from which he meters out grace and smash it permanently open. Thank you, Linux. This goes hard as hell. Now this is what I call an open source movement. No matter how terrible my day is, I can always end my day in bed, imagining fictional characters making out sloppy style and screwing raw, and that's beautiful. There's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for. POV. You are a skittish horse in the wild being offered kindness for the first time by the farmer's eccentric child who has full confidence that you can be the one to win the big race and save the farm. Ever notice how anytime someone calls you cringe, 99 times out of 100, what they mean is, you're happy and I don't like it. No one ever calls bullying cringe. No one ever calls rudeness cringe. No one ever calls toxic negativity cringe. Only hobbies get called cringe. Only enjoying things get called cringe. Only jokes and mannerisms and interests get called cringe. It is also usually a bias against autistic people and women, or a lot of marginalized groups now that I think of it. The word cringe has absolutely been weaponized against people whose only crime is showing genuine emotion and vulnerability of self, which is not only toxic, but also destructive to one of the foundational aspects of our species' communication skills. Did the Romans live better than us? Quality of life and salaries. Well, I'm gonna say at least some of them didn't. I'm just saying, if there's a curse that runs along your family line and you don't tell your kids about it, how the hell are they supposed to go on a quest to stop it? Tell your children about your medical history. Sometimes, your parents aren't aware of the curse, though they're just like, yeah, your great uncle spontaneously burst into flames. What? Why is that so weird? Emperor Bellos is literally one of the most characters ever, like, you don't get it. He's a 400 years old Puritan, he's the most powerful witch that ever lived, he's a creature, he thinks of himself as a savior of humanity, he killed 50 children, he possessed the body of God, he bit a person with his bare teeth, once he got hit by a car, his name is Philip and he's from Connecticut. In my life there are no good signs, only death and destruction. Night night. Okay. Good night, Mom? While there's no wrong way to name a cat, and cat name themes are fun, it's also so funny when someone's cat's names have no consistent theme and are all over the place. Like, here are my 5 cats: Artemis, Beanie, HP Offset 78 Printer, HP Lovecraft, and Butthead. You said there's no wrong way to name a cat, and then mentioned HP Lovecraft, who famously did name a cat very, very wrong. I'm not immune to how corsets make breasts look. I'm not immune to how breasts look. I'm not immune to breasts. Breasts. Immune beast. FAQs. Is this real? I thought pro wrestling was fake. Wrestling is fake in that the fights are choreographed and the winner is predetermined, but the physicality is very real. There's no way to fake getting whipped with a metal chain so hard it leaves welts. Why are they chained? This is a specialty fight called a dog collar match, where both participants are, you guessed it, fitted with dog collars which are then chained together. Is this legal? How can this be allowed? Why wouldn't it be? They're both consenting adults who planned and agreed to it. But they could be seriously hurt. They know and they accept the risk. Pro wrestlers are well aware of the injuries possible in their line of work, and they do it anyway because they're crazy people. Is there aftercare of a sort? Yeah, there's a medical team on hand to patch everyone up, and lots of coworkers backstage to get the job well done. Why are they wearing thigh highs? There are knee pads / shin guards for protection. Looking like sexy thigh highs is just a bonus side effect. Okay, but why is that guy in a shiny Speedo? Personal preference. Wrestlers can design their own outfits, and some prefer full coverage long tights while others wear less to show off the gams. Is that CM Punk? Yep, he unretired last year. Why do straight men watch this? I'm still trying to figure this one out. Is this just kinky as hell to anyone else, or like, is that just me? Nah, mate, 2 half-naked muscular men chained together by their dog collars, whipping crap out of each other with chains in a ritualized power struggle, the predetermined dominator and submitter of the interaction of public ring is wholesome family entertainment. Hot take. Beast's human form isn't ugly at all. OG Beast's design is just so striking, a mere human can't live up to it. However, I propose that we make him hairier with a darker color palette to bridge the gap. Within 15 minutes, I have found 2 different grown adult men who have dating app profiles that say their worst fear is werewolves. 1 was funny, 2 was like, hang on, do we actually have a werewolf problem in this town? Jesus Christ, I just found a 3rd guy who's afraid of werewolves. What the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup is happening here? In the comics is such a great phrase, you can lie about anything and no one will check. In the comics, Wonder Woman has on-panel passionate lesbian coitus with Cheetah. I was looking for movies to watch on HBO, and I'm flipping howling at this. So, what's up, guys? The sky. Okay. You know what? Screw you. How dare you? No one knows what to say after that crap. Am I supposed to laugh at that joke? If anyone has ever laughed at that joke, they were lying to you. They were being nice because they felt sorry for you. You just wanted to end the conversation early. Got somewhere to go, bozo? You a busy man? Damn, I thought my jokes were bad. Yesterday, I had a dream Tumblr started drawing Perry the Platypus humanized, and he became a Tumblr sexy man even though he doesn't have a canon human design yet. Then Disney made it canon and married him with Doofenshmirtz on a theatrical movie. Everyone cried and called it the ship of all time, blueprints, etc, etc, and even casual people started cosplaying them, and making weddings themed after them. A floating sans head was there for some reason, whispered, February 1, and I woke up in a cold sweat. Me at home. Meat balls. Obsessed with this post because it forced me to pronounce meatballs in a way I never would have before. Meat balls. Never trust an adult who won't apologize to a child. Wow, I've never seen it put that way, but wow, that is a really good piece of advice. Put this on your blog to show others you are gay. Question, why is a sword a representation of being gay? Because I'm gay and I like swords? What's not to get? While you were being heterosexual, I studied the blade. I went looking for this post specifically and only just realized that the OP was the same person. You know, an awful lot of people don't realize this actually, but rest assured, if it's about swords and being gay, there's a high chance I wrote it. I love it when people trap the warden in Minecraft by making a moving piston that makes noise so the warden just quietly stares at it. iPad baby. Anyone else seeing weird, mysterious failures on Tumblr? Yeah, but you didn't have to call us out like that. Network failures. Network failures! Spirit animal is racist. Patronus was invented by a transphobe. I think it's time we all suck it up and say what we mean. Persona. I know this is a jokey post, rip OP's notes, but a persona is typically an animal representation of yourself, not an external animal that is strongly meaningful to you and your life/journey. I've seen Damon and Familiar proposed, but to keep in line with the cursedness of the original post, may I suggest Spiritual Tamagotchi. Do you have any idea how refreshing it is to see a correction/suggestion to this post that actually understands the assignment? Okay, final offer. If you give up your soul and learn the forbidden ice magics, you get unlimited power, eternal life, an army at your command, and we'll throw in this. A luxurious modern studio space with included amenities at an affordable rate? Squidward, please, this isn't your heart. Yes, the barnacles it is. Last week I woke up from one of the most screwed up nightmares I've ever had with that middle panel burned into my brain. Like, the exact wording, and the exact apartment, and the exact Squidward. I feel like if I didn't make it real, something bad would have happened. Anyway, today's upload is SpongeBob Comic OC. That moment when you planted foxglove, toxic, and lavender seeds for germinating in 2 pots, but forgot to mark the pots. Russian plant roulette. Congrats, you are Uncle Iroh. Delicious tea or deadly poison? I laughed really hard at that, oh my god. Guy tries to toss a cigarette on the ground, but the ground parries it and it flies back into his mouth, and he solemnly continues to smoke it. Ah yes, Mexico, or as I like to call it, the United Mexican States. Which is its name, by the way. Mexico, officially the United Mexican States. Maddening. Wait, really? Mexico has a dead name? The country formerly known as the United States of Brazil has a dead name. Mexico just technically goes by its nickname. Things that work in fiction, but not real life. Torture getting reliable information out of people. Knocking someone out to harmlessly incapacitate them for like an hour. Jumping into water from staggering heights and surviving the fall completely intact. Calling the police to de-escalate a situation. Rafting your way off a desert island. Correctly profiling total strangers based on vibes. Effectively operating every computer by typing and nothing else. Ripping an IV out of your arm without consequences. Heterosexual cowboy. It's so bricked up that you could just eat a micro SD card. Pro gamer tip, if you're eating Cheez-Its with one hand and holding a micro SD card in the other hand, avoid getting distracted by a third task. Spiders have got to figure out contracting. I need to be able to call my local spiders union and be like, hey, can you send a guy out for a few days? The fruit flies are back, and then pay it in spider currency. I'll learn the conversion rates. I'll be generous with my rounding, please. Favorite creature of legend/myth? Loch Ness Mobster. That is quite hit a misspelling. This ain't silly or unsilly territory, see? Me and my boys run the lakes and the rivers around these parts, and I won't see no upstart knuckleavies thinking they can change that. Saw someone mention the new Boston Dynamics robot was introduced like a Souls boss. Was not expecting it to come out so creepy. What the great googly moogly? Somebody edit a health bar over this. I'm at work. Oh my god, you said health bar. Girl. Sad face. This is my grasp of how football works. 2 teams of men want the ball very badly, but are incapable of sharing it. One team attempts to deliver the ball to their holy ground, while the other attempts to prevent this. Occasionally, an evil man will appear and speak curses to the men, causing them grief and dishonor. If you told Vin Diesel Fast and the Furious you were gay, he'd be like, some people like driving stick, some people like driving automatic. What matters is you cross the finish line. And then he'd rev up a Dodge Challenger and drive through a building and kill 16 people. Packed my husband a slice of cake with his work lunch, and he sent me this. My pumpkin prom sting! I am losing my mind over this. Me, gently pulling my consciousness back into my body. Please keep your arms and legs inside the ride at all times. Bro, you okay? Bro, humans aren't separate from the ecosystems around us. We're a part of them, bro. Bro, we're never going to have absolutely zero effect on ecosystems because we live here, bro. Bro, I never said it had to be a bad effect. We don't have to immediately be perfect either, bro. Sometimes doing what you can is what you can, and it's way better than nothing. Bro, what do you mean humans are a plague? You're starting to sound a bit like an eco-fascist, bro. Bro? Okay, that's it. As a bisexual ranch dressing supporter, I just can't continue to follow you in good conscience. Why do you industrial carpet chippers all think it's okay to use bland women as a scapegoat for premium disco culture? Maybe if you actually bothered to read the Ukrainian degeneracy thesis, you'd understand Batman's suntan technique, but I guess you're just too busy making free insurance consultation posts, so whatever. Blocked, flambéed, and unfollowed. Gonna send you an angry self-righteous Anon ask with a random word generator. Stand by. Being on mobile and seeing the random generated ask before the warning about it made this an experience. Was at a tattoo convention today and I saw a guy with a Spider-Man tattoo, so I walked up and went, "Oh dude, is that Spider-Man? Cool beans, I love Spider-Man." And then looked down and realized I was wearing my shirt that says "I love Spider-Man" in big black letters. I'm a parody of myself. Stop calling me a cartoon character or an NPC or a Wojak. I'm a real boy. Honestly, do not interact and unfollow me if you support Mama after all she's done. She literally has consulted medical professionals over and over and refused to change her behavior. Those under her care. She literally called the doctor more than once, and the doctor very freaking clearly said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. And what happens 5 flippin' seconds later every single time? It's actually unethical to keep monkeys from jumping on the bed. I don't care what the doctor says. Oh, so it's totally fine to let them fall off and bump their heads? I love monkey cranial trauma? This is what you sound like. Also, you're violating my do not interact. Would you also draw me if I asked you? Of course. Saw the most whimsical tree in my life, and I had to draw his face. NASA. We're going to shoot 3 rockets directly to the sun during the total eclipse, for study and research purposes. Me. Oh, cool. NASA. We have named the rockets a PEP. This stands for Atmospheric Perturbations in the Eclipse Path. Me. Oh, cool. NASA. A PEP is also the ancient Egyptian deity of chaos and darkness, who ceaselessly seeks to extinguish the sun. We launch these rockets directly at the sun in the name of a PEP. Me. Oh, cool. ADHD to autistic communication is stored in the echolalia. I didn't know that word until I saw this post, and now I've been walking around the house muttering echolalia for several days now. I'm glad irony isn't a lost concept.